modern day time. And this work that we're doing, we're establishing a community. We are establishing a model community as well as establishing a social a society, a new society. Allahu Akbar. A- Yeah, an ethnical society.
No, somebody talking.
Yeah, okay. So no one else has this mission except us. Allah put this mission on us. Allahu Akbar. Huh? And Allah has not ended the mission. And if the individuals are not in contact up to speed with the language that Allah gives us from the Quran, then you're working, but you at a slower pace. Your pace is much slower, and you're missing what Allah wants you to do here in the society that need this medicine. You may call it medicine, huh? They need some medicine, man. Allahu Akbar. So we believe that we have the medicine, and that is what Allah has given us through His Quran and His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and His true servant, Imam Waliduddin Muhammad. And we inherited this deen. We believe, without a doubt, we believe that we inherited this deen, this mission. And not only just us, but all of those who accepted have inherited this work, this mission. So I'm gonna welcome you again, and we getting ready to go to our book, our reading today. We might finish today, inshallah. So I'm gonna turn it over to Brother Ansari, and we'll get right on top of this reading.
Somebody just come on.
Salam alaikum to everybody on the line, all the brothers and sisters. Today we're going to pick up our reading on the book Education of Sacred Matter, commentary of Imam W.D. Muhammad, edited by Brother Ronald B. Shaheed. We're going to pick up on page 181. For everybody that has the book in front of them, we're going to start on page 181, middle of the page. Osiris crossing himself. Osiris crossing himself. And we began on Tuesday night on chapter 6, and we didn't get very far, so we only covered 3 paragraphs. Ontology and eschatology, a blessed tree and an olive tree, not ontology and not eschatology. So we're going to pick up today at Osiris crossing himself. Osiris crossing himself. So now, by the way, what have we done here? Question. We have talked about something. We have 4 points, and from 4 orientations, we have the movement of the sun. Because the orientation changes, we have a cross made on the sky. There is a cross made on the sky, and in Egyptian mythology, Isis crosses Osiris. Isis is the sun, too, but not the social sun. Isis is the moon, but that language is not good. Isis is the moon, but now it is not the moon doing that. It is the sun doing that. There is no moon involved here. But because the sun at certain times in the season, in the year, favors the north, we get cold weather. And we think of the moon as a cold body. So this is not the daughter of Isis or Osiris, or Osiris or Isis. This is Osiris crossing himself, really. But they do not like to say Osiris. They like to say the spiritual entity in Osiris is the moon. That is the female, the moon. The spiritual entity, that is what they are saying by that language. However, I do not buy that language. I just want you to understand the language. Maybe we will choose to give it another name that might be better to understand it. it might be better to use other terms or other language. But anyway, in this language of ancient myths, for the Egyptians, Osiris is the son and Isis, who is his wife and daughter. She is first his wife, and then she becomes his daughter in Egyptian myth. As his daughter, not as his wife, it is said that she crossed him, and she crossed him as a serpent. And the serpent is a cold-blooded creature. I do not mean a cold-blooded in a negative sense. No, now. I'm using it to say that this is a spiritual body of science. The snake here is a spiritual body of science, and Osiris, it's symbolized as the sun, is the social body of science. In ancient Egyptian myth, the spiritual body crosses the social body and poisons the social body when it crosses it. That is the ancient cross in the sky. And to preserve this knowledge for them, the ancient Egyptians put drawings of the cross all over the body of a cow. Then they put the cow in the sky and they call it the heavenly cow or the sacred cow. It has these crosses all over it, all over its body. You might say, you talk about these things like you were there. Yes, God has put me there, and I have seen it with my mind, with my studious mind. God put me there, and I have seen it, so I can talk to you about it. I did not get this out of books. I got some out of books. The rest I got by the visit. The cross of New Testament is the Isis cross. Here we go. We have talked about it. Now we can see the ancient Egyptian cross. That cross influenced the scholars, the thinkers in religion, and they came up with the cross of the New Testament. Now, what is the cross of the New Testament? The cross of the New Testament is the Isis cross. When she crossed Osiris, she got the power of the cross. The ancient Greek mythology pictures her with the cross in her hand and a dog on a leash. So now her experience and her ability to find a way to cross Osiris, in other words, to change the orientation from social orientation to spiritual orientation. The key to do that was given to her. And now she holds the key in one hand. That is her control over the dog. The dog as a symbol is not negative. The dog is symbolic of the social life, the fire, the heat. The dog is symbolic of the social life, obedient, but also having the vulnerability to be brought down to asfale safilin, the lowest of the low. Also having the obedience to rise or raise it up to asani takwin, the best mode possible. So here is the Isis. So here is Isis with the key. She has the formula for regulating that up and down. She has the science of his life, the science of how to control his life, to make him spiritual when she wants. When the time and the season comes, there is a need for him to cool and become spiritual. She has the key of his life to turn him on to a spiritual orientation or to bring on fall and winter. She has the key to turn his life to a social orientation and bring on spring and summer. So she has the keys to the seasons. She has the key to heaven and hell in that ancient mythology. Any comments? That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
right.
a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
She has the key to heaven and hell. Huh?
And which hand the dog is in? The right hand, or did it say?
It didn't say left or right. It just said that is
Has the key to the heaven.
so the key in one hand,
Yeah.
and the dog, and she has the dog in the other hand, a leash holding the dog. But the key to this is that she's in control of the spiritual orientation and what else? The social orientation.
She can change it.
Now, if we keep reading, We can keep going, and he's gonna get in on this key a little bit more.
Mhm.
Key of ICE is still used to regulate life and society. The key of ISIS is still used to regulate life of society. So that is the key, not ISIS cross on the sky. That is the science that makes possible the key that they say was given to Peter. Hold it now. And he brought on along with him.
Mhm.
Say that again, y'all. So that is the key, not ISIS cross on the sky. That is the science that makes possible the key that they say was given to Peter. And he brought on a long winter, but thanks to Martin Luther, he picked up the key and brought spring and summer. However, do not think they do not still use that key. They are still using that key to regulate the life of society in America. Do not think they are not. They are at their wits' end, and they are expecting doomsday. When we are thinking that way, they are in charge. They know how to use the key right now. They are turning it northward with conservative values. They are turning it northward with the religious community supporting the secular society. They are turning the key, orientating the American people's spirit and life northward. And pretty soon we're going to have the influence of the North Osage, the misery of this hellish South that we have come to, and it is going to be it's going to be beautiful for a while. But society again will go to extremes, and they will have to turn the key back and orientate it southward to take the cold winter chill off of the human life. For the covenants of security and safeguard enjoyed by the quarters. Elefisin relatish. Now, do not worship that science that enabled their social order to control the effect of winter and summer on them, or the seasons of winter and summer in their lives. Yeah. Budu Rabba. Therefore, worship the Lord of this house, the God that created the science, that created the form and the knowledge in the form. Alahi ad aminhum minjuni, the one who fed you in the time of hunger. Wa mene minkaf, and secured you against fear. Praise be to Allah. The sun is up. That is a whole lot right there, brother. That's where I got off into that rabbit hole when I went down and started studying the key that he referred to. This is the key that was given to Peter. And it controls the social order, or the social science, and the spiritual sciences, or the masses of the people. And he said they still using this key. That's right. To manipulate people today. That's right. Or to control people today. Yeah. We bear witness, we can see it. We're conscious of that. So I looked up the keys of Peter. Okay. And these are the keys that are that's embroidered on the robe of the Pope right now, today. If you ever see the Pope in his outfit, he got the keys of Peter embroidered on his robe. He feels like he has the power, or he's been given the power by this diocese, and made the head of this order that controls even what they put in the Bible, take out the Bible. They've been able to do that throughout history. It says that what Peter bounds on earth is bound on earth, and what he bounds in heaven is bound in heaven. So they've given this Pope or this archdiocese the power to bind, to loose and bind what's on earth and what's in heaven
Yeah.
through scripture.
Scripture. Yes.
These
And,
are the keys of Peter. And they say this was given to Peter by Christ.
Yeah.
This is the way it's written in the Bible. But Peter, the Peter that they're referring to as the Pope, the first Pope, is not the Peter that was on the banks. That was on the banks when Jesus said, "Hey man, let me hold your boat."
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same Peter.
Different Peter. Okay.
You see, so this is all symbolic, but it's very, very effective science that they're using. You know, if that makes sense.
It does.
saying like,
Yeah.
like,
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How y'all this morning?
Finding you,
fine,
brother.
brother.
Brother Haywood.
Got in a little late. Steady at it long with a little long.
Uh-huh.
But I wanted to ask, does it say how many keys are embroidered on the post?
Two. One is a silver key and one is a gold key. One is a silver key and one is a gold key. And the brother Imam said that we were given the real key. The real key is the opening.
Mm-hmm.
The Fatiha. That's the key.
Yeah.
But they got it for the Muslims, that's the key. But this key that the Imam is talking about here is the ideas and the science that was taken from Egyptian mythology and implemented on the masses by the archdiocese of the Christian world today.
Secret order.
Yeah.
These secret symbols that they use,
Mm-hmm.
he's exposing symbology in this scripture. And it's powerful. It's powerful. And it's
with the man pointing that out, that's to remind us what is really the dominant denomination in Christianity.
yeah.
It's Catholicism that most of our folks are Baptist or Presbyterian or Protestant, I guess you might say.
Right.
But Catholicism still is the big one.
Right.
And most of us don't even think about that, you know.
Absolutely.
Because we are involved in the Protestant and mostly Baptist and singing and shouting and all of that kind of stuff. Now, I think either one or the other. Silver represents purity and gold represents truth. Or one or the other. I might have them backwards. I don't know. But you say one of the keys is silver and one of them is gold.
Mm-hmm.
So again, he's holding the keys to direct our life through religious teachings and symbolism and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's right.
that's what the Catholics are told, that Peter was given that power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever is
So,
what you say bound in heaven, he can do it here. Whatever is bound in earth, he can do it here.
Yeah.
And that's given to Catholics, and we memorize that.
Yeah.
So if you memorize something, then that's it becomes part of your nature. So you memorize it and don't even question it, you just believe it and don't know when it comes and when it goes. You just know it believe. You believe it.
Well, and what he's referring to in Bible terminology is the book of Matthew. This is what the church.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the church based this doctrine on. The book of Matthew, chapter 16, verses 13 through 20.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to read it, but I don't particularly. I just want to read it for this is hypothetically.
Yeah.
This is what's going. This is what we're dealing with. This is what he's dealing with when he's talking about these keys.
Mm-hmm.
And in this article, it says, in the region of Caesarea Philippi, Christ told his disciples for the first time that he was the Messiah that had been promised in the Old Testament. At the same time, he also revealed his plan to found the church, which was to be led by St. Peter as the first pope. You see? But that's why we were just saying that the Peter that was with Jesus was not the first pope of Rome,
right?
Of the Catholic Church. Now it says the Catechism explains Simon Peter, holds the first place in the college of the 12. Jesus entrusted a unique mission to him through a revelation from the Father. Peter had confessed, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Our Lord then declared to him, "You are Peter. On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it." Christ, the living stone, thus assured his church, built on Peter, of victory over the powers of death. Because of the faith he confessed, Peter will remain the unshakable rock of the church. His mission will be to keep this faith from every lapse and to strengthen his brothers in it. It continues, Jesus entrusted a specific authority to Peter. "I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." The power of the keys designates the authority to govern the house of God, which is the church. So see, this language that they use, and they feel like they justify. So if they bound, let's say they bind or bound Africans into slavery, and the church did that. The Catholic Church did that. Yeah, they sanctioned the transatlantic slave trade and a bunch of other types of foolishness.
That's what made me give up the Catholic Church when I either read or heard or saw it on TV. One of the popes blessing the slave ships to have a successful voyage going and coming. I said, "Oh no, that's not me."
Yeah.
Because I was turning black at the time, and when I heard that, I said, "Oh no, I got to get out of here now."
Now listen at this, Brother Haywood. The Catholics, they understand this governing power. They understand it to have been passed on by St. Peter to a long line of popes who have succeeded him. You know, we're talking about this power. This
man.
This heavy stuff.
That's right.
Look at what it
We
says.
ain't gonna go too far on that. We ain't gonna get off
Look what it says right here.
Yeah.
The first part of reading keys of ISIS still used in regular life of society.
We see they still using it, right?
Yeah.
So the Imam is telling us the truth.
I mean,
They're using it right now.
That is the science that makes possible the key that they say was given to Peter. And he brought on a long winter. But thanks to Martin Luther, he picked up the key and brought spring and summer. That's how they could control things.
Martin Luther is the father of Protestantism. He protested the power of the Catholic Church.
Likewise, did ISIS cross Osiris?
Yeah.
See,
that's right. Same pattern.
One from one order to the next order.
Yeah.
This is talking about.
You on the right page, sister? Okay.
What page is it?
Yeah. 184. So Imam Muhammad said, "Praise be to Allah." He said, "The sun is up." Allahu Akbar.
He drops a bomb on
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
What he say again?
Imam Muhammad says, "Praise be to Allah. The sun is up.
Yeah.
It ain't down, it's up. It's shining." See, we just got to talk about the moon and all that out there, you know.
This is a symbolic language.
Yeah.
He turned the light on.
Yeah.
There go the light. Praise be to
He said on page 181, he said, "They are turning the key, orientating the American people, spirit and life northward." He said, "And pretty soon we're going to have the influence of the North, ASSUAGE, a stewardship, the misery of this hellish South that we have come to, and it is going to be beautiful for a while. But society will again go to extremes, and they will have to turn the key back and orientate it southward to take the cold weather of the winter chill off of the human life. Then Imam Muhammad goes to Surah Quraysh. He goes in there and he's talking about Surah Quraysh. How Allah says he provides for the people in winter and summer. Huh?
So this is me talking. What I see here is religion throughout history has been openly a spiritual essence. The essence of it has been openly spiritual.
Yeah.
But when it comes to politics or politically, it's hidden in all kind of symbolism, the move that they make.
Yeah, they hide in politics.
They hide Allah. So they hide in God.
Yeah.
Okay? They hope that we say Jacobite, but you know, this rejectors in Quran, Imam Hayward is the Min al-Kafirin. The Min al-Kafirin, those who reject faith. So they've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. Long time.
Until they got the order, you know, they got together and they got an order, then they were able to establish this rejection. Huh? And they began to put their lives in there, see? They began to manipulate the philosophers, the seers, and the prophets. They began to manipulate what the real Allah has sent it. The Imam said that, we read that the other night.
They found out they couldn't take God out of everything. See?
Yeah. So what we learned from this right here today is
they had to try to keep God.
Where did they get this science from?
Okay.
They're trying to keep God.
That's right.
They go back, they got Osiris and Aset.
They got this science from the Egyptian civilization, or Egyptian myth.
Yeah.
Mythology.
Yeah.
That's how powerful the mythology is.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in it, it's real.
Yeah.
So they found out they couldn't keep God in it. You know, it's going to be exposed. It's being exposed now, but they're trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
Well, he started this chapter off talking about Egyptians were the first one to practice psychology.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They had knowledge of the mind as well as all kind of other.
Yeah.
They had, you know, I think we read that's the beginning of chapter 6.
Now, I'm interested to find out the meaning of the silver key and the gold key. Huh?
Yeah.
I want to get some light on that. The silver key and the gold key. Huh?
One do one thing.
Yeah, got different meanings.
The meaning is exactly what the Imam say right here. One controls the social and one controls the spiritual.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
the keys.
These keys that were supposed to be given.
Okay, so a gold key would control
material.
Yeah. The silver key would
Spiritual.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
which one?
Inshallah, you're gonna Google it.
Yeah.
Is that error too much for you?
For me.
Okay, cut that out, brother. Knock that out, brother. There's a remote right there, brother Ali.
Or remote.
Yeah,
Right
here.
across the
Remote.
pole.
What are
Yeah,
the
right
two
there.
keys of Saint Peter symbolic of?
You just cut
And
it
you
off.
run across the pole, you pass by him and say, I know what this is for.
You didn't turn it off, did you, sir?
Right there.
Ow.
Shake, say. That's tight.
Yeah, slow it down.
Huh?
Slow it down.
Well, you got to hit it a couple of times so they just you hit it.
Yeah.
Miftah in Arabic is for the key. Fatiha. Miftah.
Lift.
Miftah is the key.
Key.
Fatiha is the key.
Lift. That is real.
So could we say that? Yeah. Could we say also today that this pandemic is being controlled by these guys?
Yeah.
Could this be something they're using?
I'm saying. Yeah.
Huh?
I say it is.
Yeah, you know, all of a sudden everything was going good, and it was dying down. Now all of a sudden, South Africa is coming back.
Yeah. Another pandemic.
Yeah.
Pandemic.
You know, people gonna be taking vaccination the rest of their life, man. Huh?
I ain't been had a shot yet.
You know?
No.
Well, they say most of the people that's in the hospital now, they never had a shot. Say the hospital full of people that haven't had a shot. Now.
It's got to be some it's some connection with them.
Mm-hmm.
The way this is controlling the environment.
Yeah, the way with design. It's a design somewhere.
Yeah, you know.
A master design somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, and even they had nerve enough to put influence.
My partner
It's
said
in
this.
Austria, South Africa.
My partner says it's more than the beast. It's more than the beast, man. Or everybody gets vaccinated, more than the beast. I said, okay, I don't know where it is, but I ain't even if it ain't with me, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, almost 1 million people done died in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
700 some thousand people have lost their lives just in the United States. But they whooping you back and forth. You don't know which way to go.
No, what key?
What they using? You know. Oh, we're gonna give it to the babies. You know, we got one for the baby, and then we're gonna get older people a booster. So they whooping the people, man.
Yeah.
You know, they
got people all scared up.
Yeah, you don't know what to do. So the average person gonna go get the shot.
Yeah.
First,
that.
You ain't got it, you gonna go get it.
Yeah. Or you might drop dead. You don't know.
Y'all had a shot yet?
Yeah.
Y'all had?
Yeah, I've been vaccinated.
I'm old enough. I'm
3
too
months
old
ago.
not to not get it. Because
Flu
I
shot
can tell
and
you
pneumonia shot.
ever since I've been in America, I've been taking shots for different.
okay, this is what it says, brothers.
Okay, come on with it.
It says, with the keys of St. Peter, often one key is gold and the other silver. The first represents the power to bind and loose in heaven. In other words, spiritual authority.
Okay.
While the second represents the power to bind and loose on earth. And they refer to this as temporal authority.
First and second, what?
First is spiritual authority.
Okay.
Second is temporal authority. Jesus gave Peter the keys of the kingdom of heaven, not the keys to heaven. This is what this says. The keys of the kingdom of heavens is authority over the spirit of spiritual authority. This is what I'm reading here. St. Peter's College Keys of St. Peter. Let's click and see.
Keys of Jack's jumping, ain't it?
So spiritual is
What does the word temporal mean?
it's not permanent. It's not
Temporary.
temporary.
Yeah.
Temporal. It has to do with
Something
the intellect, your mentality.
Mm-hmm. Something being excited about something.
So
Temporal.
so they fueling. They
Yeah.
It's like right now we don't. The people, the masses don't know what to say, what to do.
I know they're confused thoroughly. You know,
Yeah, just like Ali. He said he said if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
don't fix it.
You know, he in good health. Ali, he got his immune system. He might, he might not never catch corona.
I would say it is this symbolism that leads to the legend of Peter as the keeper of the pearly gates of heaven.
Early gates.
Yeah.
Where they come from? Pearly.
Now, this come from St. Peter's College.
Pearly now.
Mhm.
Yeah, brother. Early gates, brother.
Yeah, this come from St. Peter's College, and it says that the keys that we're referring to is on the blazer or the pocket of the students at St. Peter's College.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the keys on the badges proudly worn by staffs and students. You can see the keys on the gates as you enter the college grounds. Question mark. Why? Why? Question mark. This is a long article. I'm not gonna do all that.
Why they're saying why you see the keys?
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody asked.
Go ahead, brother Haywood.
here's a definition on temporal.
Okay.
Say relating to or concerned with the worldly affairs.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
One of them is civil, secular, and it has also
Civil law.
temporal. EPHEMERAL.
Mm-hmm.
That's also connected with this word temporal.
Mhm.
So it's talking about worldly affairs.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Yeah.
Now I'm wondering
So,
with these pandemics and things, you know, the creation itself, it's going to go through these changes and all of these kinds of things. But the key for us, with the guidance of God, is how to relate and manage our lives while it's going through these changes.
Yo,
Now the wicked,
I don't think
I
so.
think they get in the
Yes,
way of
sir.
me having a good
my cut off.
idea of action with how to deal with these changes. Because you know the Imam say, if your worship is off, then you're dealing with the natural world is off. And so, like we understand that Satan don't have any power to change a lot of creation, but he has the power to change how we perceive it, our perception of creation. So he'll have us looking up when it's supposed to be looking down, or looking sideways when we ought to be looking another way.
Mhm.
But the creation itself hasn't changed. So it's just our way of dealing with this. And I'm thinking, if we're right, although these folks are fishing and trying to figure out the right vaccine and all of this kind of stuff, and you got the others throwing us off in left field, Allah is going to bless somebody or some group to come up with the right answer. Now, how much damage will be done, I don't know. But I'm thinking sooner or later, they're going to come up with the right answers. And we'll be back to summertime again until they bring winter on us again.
Okay. Yeah. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Otherwise, they got us up in the north right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cold.
Trying to figure out how to deal with this. And if I'm superstitious, then hell, I give nature and winds and all that kind of stuff God's power and man's power and everything else. When really I'm still supposed to have the power over that, you know, as a human being, as an intellect. So, and with this thing we got here in America, this freedom that we have to be able to go be a booty hole if you want to, that really puts us at stake. Because if I want to be a booty hole and you can't say nothing about it, just get out of my way. Say, well, man, you're sticking up the whole place. That's all right. That's my freedom. I got a right to. I might even have the government to back me up. So we're in a big situation here. And again, with the Imam being connected with religion, it's telling us that religion is still the rule and order of the day.
That's right.
The thing of it is, it's the false religion. And Imam Samaj, you keep talking about the Jacobites. We remember they are unseen. All we do is see the results of the Jacobites. So to put your hand on them, you won't be able to do it. You just have to try to figure out how to get around their schemes and make like that while they throwing you off in left field. All these curves and things like that.
Yeah. Well, and you know, Brother Imam, that's the beauty, as the Imam said, the sun is out. The sun is up.
So the social order will fall under the category of the temporal world, right? Our social order. What's going on right here now? Spiritual things.
The descendants of the slaves.
Right. Yeah, and that's why.
No one gives them credit. Okay.
And you know that's why I was getting ready to go with that. That's the Dean, Al Dean. this al-Islam. It is in the conclusion. It now it's being equated in the conclusion. But that's where the dawah comes in. That's where the expression has to come in. I was listening to Imam Benjamin Bilal on one of the YouTube tapes, and he was saying that we are being aborted. Our mission is being aborted with somebody else's mission. They don't want us to they don't want us to become adults. They don't want us to have the purest light. You know, okay? The understanding that Allah and gave Imam Muhammad to give us, they fighting against that.
Yes.
The nunetics of Imam Benjamin Bilal. See? So he said, well, we got a change. It's a game change. It'll change everything.
Yeah.
Huh?
Challenging the social order.
So it's challenging it.
Challenging the social order.
Yes. See? But as long as we are sheeple,
But the social order is supposed to address the needs of the people.
are the people. Yeah, worldwide,
And
universal.
if it's not doing that, then it has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's why it's very important that each masajid in our association has to follow that pattern that Allah gave Imam Muhammad to give to us, and work with that order. Don't deviate from that order.
Yeah.
You know, we have to work with the educators. We have to work with the religious people. We have to work with the political people. We have to work with the social. We have to work with them people and educate them.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, without knowledge.
Yeah, but if we're not doing it, if we playing with them, see, because it's just like just for an example, and I'm gonna stop. Last week when they had that political trial over there in Georgia, the attorney, he used some bait. He used some bait. He pulled all them black preachers over there.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
The way he got up and said it, he knew he was gonna trigger them
Yeah.
to move and bring all them black preachers over there. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
It sure did.
And they all came.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and I'm not trying to lay them down. Most of them just got pablum.
Yeah. Pebble.
Pablum. Yeah, they feeding the people pablum. Pablum it's a baby died.
Had one
Huh?
old lawyer stood up and said, don't bring what's his name?
Al Sharpton,
Al
Jesse
Sharpton,
Jackson.
Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, see, that was a trap. He set them up.
Yeah, he set him up.
And his strategy was to try to sway the jurors to call a mistrial.
Yeah, that was it.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, he said mistrial.
yeah. Don't bring him in.
Yeah, we got all these people out here, all these preachers out here. We got all these people out here with these guns. Mistrial.
This trial.
And the judge said, no, it ain't got nothing to do with what's going on inside this courtroom.
That's right.
Huh?
Judge fooled.
Yeah, he did. Now, you know, I think he was a fairer judge than the one for up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
See, the guy in Minnesota, his social order was different.
Yeah, he fell in love with that boy.
Yeah, you know, he changed the thing.
Yeah.
See, so I'm just saying, I just want to put that out there. Alhamdulillah, I just want to put that out there because I see how they doing this, how they.
So y'all found guilty, all three of them, right?
Huh? All three.
All three of them got found guilty.
Yes, sir. And they finna get the prosecutor, the one that told one of the guys to go wash the blood off your body.
Yeah.
They finna get her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
See?
I saw it.
But other than that, she'd have got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
She'd have walked clean. But now that she's indicted.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, she went to jail last week.
What?
They
She
indicted.
did too?
Huh?
She did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The prosecutor, the one that took, because she was friends with one of the guys was an ex-police officer, a chief or something. The father. He was a police officer. And she told him, and they had swept it up under the rug. Said, oh, don't worry about this.
Yeah.
We didn't kill this so-and-so, don't worry about it. We'll sweep it up under the rug.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about when we start talking about this temporal. We're talking about the spiritual, the gold key and the silver key.
Mhm.
That's what I'm getting out of it.
That was an interesting conversation. That
So
was
it's
very
all
interesting.
that's being temporal, right? Yeah.
Well, we're gonna address the temporal here. Imam is gonna address that coming up in here. It's called the individual, the prerequisite, and society, the priority.
What page?
Page
Okay, I got
184.
you. There you go.
Individual, the prerequisite, and society, the priority. First, before I get started, brother Ali, did you want to say something there, brother? Before I start, I thought I heard his voice. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and start.
No, we just listening now, mashallah. Waiting for the people to come out the house so we can come over to the house, all right?
Okay. Individual, the prerequisite, and society, the priority. So we see the individual as a prerequisite, and then the society becoming the priority. First, the individual is the priority, then prerequisite and the priority. Then the individual passes it on. By the very nature of the individual's need, he has to pass it on to the social order. And the social order becomes the priority over the individual's needs. It becomes the individual's needs because the individual's needs are realized and fulfilled in the social order and cannot be realized really except in the social order. He never realizes his needs except in the social order. Though he initiates the coming of the social order or the requisitions it. Now the sensitivity and the sensibility. Sensibility means sensitivities that are trying to perceive something. Sensitivities that want to perceive something. They want to feel and know something. So since the same senses that register hurt and pleasure, bad and good, these same senses too also want to know. They want to know. So many times it is from your sensitivities that you begin to feel a little uncomfortable with your sweetheart. Your sensitivities say, hey, something is wrong here. I'm hugging her with a real hug. This hug she's giving me does not feel right. It feels like a fake hug. We have sensitivity and sensibility. And that is what it said. That in the hereafter, those that were in the habit of making wudu, they would have the light of that wudu on their hands. So what is the science of the knowledge here? It is these were innocent, pure sensitivities that made us want to be clean. We sense ourselves unclean. We do not feel good. I'm not talking about wudu now. I'm talking about any clean experience. We sense ourselves unclean and we do not feel good. Our sensibilities tell us to wash, clean, take a bath, and we take a bath. So Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings be upon him, is teaching us when he says, and there will be the light of your wudu on your hands. He is teaching us that there is a conscious act on your part because you want to be clean. You are of the purified ones. You love purity. You love cleanliness. You love you have sensibilities, and because of your good sensibilities, you keep your wudu. And that is your habit. That has been your practice. Therefore, in the hereafter, you are resurrected into a new creation and into a new life. But you have light going from your hands, the light of your wudu. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. What is the West? Isn't it something that we still have people turning their faces toward the East and some towards the West? In the Western world, your bed will be turned, and it is turned so that you come out of the bed like the sun from the east, facing the west. You see, the sun rises in the east, but it is facing west, always facing west. It rises in the east, facing west. It sets in the west, comes up the next morning facing west. It just keeps going west. but its sun comes from the east. So where is it going to? What is west? West is darkness. The sun is trying to get back to where it came from. He wants to get back into the dark. And so is man in his intellect, his mind and his curiosities. He becomes conscious of himself and his birth. Or creation is like the east. When he becomes conscious of himself, he starts going in the way of the west, as to say death. He is going to death. He does not always know he's going to death now. He thinks he's going to manhood and going to a bigger business, a bigger career, or a beautiful woman, etc. At a certain point in his progression, years of working progress for himself, he begins to have thoughts of his beginning, even though the sun is still going west. He cannot reverse the movement of life that God has designed. So he has got to keep going west, right? Or it has to keep going towards the death. But something happened. The sun is also perceiving. So when it gets past the zenith point, it seems as though it is looking eastward, because the shadow has now been cast in the opposite direction, and man wants to see his spirit. He wants to perceive his spirit. He wants to know what is the reality behind these objects. So he began to cast shadows in the other direction, whereas before he just wanted to see, what are these objects in my path? However, when he gets to a certain point, he began to be curious about how did all of this get started, including me. Now he thinks I want to see what the shadows are behind me. What are these? What are the images behind me? The rising from the west. So when man begins to search his origin, he begins to search his beginning, and that is what the prophet said. The sun shall rise from the west. It is never going to rise from the west. That is an impossibility. But figuratively speaking, by interpretation and translation, yes, the sun rises from the west. How does it rise from the west? When the sun declines in the west and begins to cast a shadow towards the east, towards the birthplace, the beginning for man, the human being's mind is studying its beginning. When we do that, we are the sun too. We are called son, or S-O-N. And when we do that, we have turned our sun towards the west. We are studying the east, but we are trying to have our sun rise from the west. Let me explain. When we study our beginning, we are studying our beginning so that we will have more ability to deal with the darkness, with death. We want to see this death that we are going to. But how can we perceive it if we do not know our beginning? So we turn our attention to our curiosity, to our beginning, to discover how we began. Now, if we go beyond the sun rising, we are going to go down into the darkness of the east, because the sun comes up from the east, and it is rising before we see it. Therefore, we have to go to the beginning, into the beginning of our life that unveils, that is never veiled or undisclosed. I mean, that is never veiled or undisclosed. We do not know that. We do not know our beginning. But we will strain our mind and use references and everything trying to perceive our beginning. And we will come up with some knowledge of our beginning. Then we will apply it to the darkness of the west. And we will then get some perception of what death must be. When we get a perception of what death must be, the light is coming from the west, and the sun is rising from the east, or from the west. So man will seek to know his beginning after he anticipates his ending, and he does not know what the conclusion is going to be. Then he wants to go back to the beginning to understand his life, so that maybe he will understand what death is for him. Comments?
Woo-wee.
Yeah, we got these scientists now. They all confessing that man started in Africa, and that I think they got the name of a woman. I think that they point us to. So I think that would we might say that that would be the sun rising in the east, like the Imam is saying. They're going back to try to see where did life begin and all of these kinds of things. And they come to the idea of Africa being the birthplace of the human family.
Okay. Now, if we go back other night, I think not Thursday night, but Tuesday, we were discussing the Lord of the two West and the Lord of the two East. Huh? Right? Yeah, the Imam had us on that. He was counting us into that concept, that perception of the Lord of both the two East and the two West. So now he's dropping on us about the West and the East. But he put it in singular. He put it in singular form. Huh?
Well, he's telling us how the sun can rise from the west.
Yeah, it's rising from the west. Although it's setting, but it's rising.
Yeah.
When we get over that,
Explain that, brother.
Huh?
Explain that to I'm small P brain.
Well, listening, and we just read over that. So he said, as the sun is setting in the west, it's rising also, because the sun is trying to go back to the dark. It's trying to.
It's rotating and traversing.
It's always going west.
Yeah, at the same time.
It comes up in the east, but it's always going west.
Going west.
It says rising in the west.
Huh?
It says rising in the west as well.
Yeah, that's what it said. That's what he's saying. So it's going down and it's rising. Is that what he said?
It's always going west. It's never going east.
Always.
So when you get in the west, we have a tendency to want to look back on our life from the west. The sun is always in a westerly trajectory.
Okay.
The world ain't gonna never turn. It ain't never gonna turn the other way. It ain't gonna stop and start back going, and the sun gonna come up in the west. It ain't gonna do that. But it's going west.
It's going west.
Everything's going west.
Everything going west.
And Brother Ali said that man is looking on himself like that. You know, man is right, and we just read that, brother, where it said, man and woman, we're looking at ourselves. We're going in that direction, but we're looking at ourselves. Huh? Yeah.
Facing west.
Yes. You know, and then he connected death in there. He also put death in that. So we can understand that.
Well, it says when the sun, he said, how does it rise from the west? That's a question mark.
Okay.
How does it rise from the west? The man said, when the sun declines in the west, it begins to cast shadows towards the east, towards the birthplace, the beginning for man. The human being's mind is studying its beginning.
Okay.
When the sun get over here, your shadow is in the east. You see? Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can see science. I can see how man is studying himself, studying the creation.
So that's safe to say when the sun comes up over, this is east. When it comes up in the morning, where's your shadow at?
In the morning?
If the sun is over here this morning, right now, you walk out here, your shadow is going west. Because the sun is in the easterly trajectory.
Yeah, faith.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, when the sun is over here, your shadow is going east.
Like awesome.
But faith,
Sure.
Yeah. Your shadow gonna be behind the light.
Behind the light.
Behind you. You gonna be in between the light and your shadow. Where you at?
And all that's tied, he tied it in with the wudu. And we know Salat's in that too. The prayer time. Times of prayer.
Wow.
Okay,
He
come
said,
on.
he
with
said,
it.
let me explain.
Okay.
He said, when we study our beginning, when we look back where we came from, like the sun, it's symbolical. When we look back and study our beginning, we studying our beginning so that we will have more ability to deal with the darkness. Darkness represents death.
Okay.
When we look back on our life, the sun is going, it's always trying to find the dark.
Yes. Traveling toward darkness.
Constantly traveling toward the dark.
Oh, Akbar.
So are we.
Now, I will honestly say I never really understood that. I mean, personally, I ain't never thought about it like that. Huh? Like the man was giving it to him. Huh? See? Now, just think when the rest of the world started digesting this, huh? And begin to pick up on this. You know, I remember I was in a computer room one night, and it was during Ramadan, and later to Qadr. And this technician, this European scientist technician, I told him, I said, man, I'm gonna finish up early tonight because the night is later to Qadr. He said, what is that? I said, this is a night that's better than 1,000 months. He stood up. He said, where you get that from? But he's an IT tech.
Yeah.
See? But it shocked him.
This is quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He said, therefore,
We've
we
been
have
trained
to
to
go.
think a certain way. You ain't been trained to think like we have.
And he's talking about human beings in general. He said, therefore, we have to go. We got to go into the beginning. We got to look back.
Got to look back. Yeah.
Of our life. And this will unveil. Man constantly wants to know
Wa alaikum salam.
his beginning. Wa alaikum assalam, Hakeem.
Welcome.
We want to know our beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't,
Yes.
they don't wrote down everything they can think of about our beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is veiled. We can't know what we don't know nothing about Adam except what we read in Scripture.
That's right.
Yeah. There's a veil there between the past and the future and us. You know. So he said, into the beginning of our life that is unveiled. I mean, that is never veiled or undisclosed.
Right.
We do not know that. We do not know our beginning, but we will strain our mind and use reference and everything trying to perceive our beginning. And we will come up with some kind of knowledge of our beginning. Then we will apply it to the darkness of the West. And we will then get some perception of what death must be.
Allahu Akbar. You get that, Ali? You need to read it four, five more times.
I got pause of it.
All right, okay. I can see that. I mean, I can understand. We can see that in the
veil.
Yeah.
So there's a veil between death and a veil between our beginning. We don't know what it's gonna be like. We just try to come up with in our mind. We try to picture paradise or death. When we go into our grave, we can come up. We can redo some research on it. We're constantly searching for the same thing about the beginning of the human, beginning of creation. There's a veil there.
Yeah. So this orientation is not only just put on just blacks, it's put on everybody. The whole world is up under this creation, humanity. The whole of humanity, what the Imam says, up under this. Huh? They running it. They running it hiding God with lies, falsehood.
That's right.
Huh?
You're just looking at creation here. The sun is a part of creation. The Quran teaches us to study
They
creation.
got all the knowledge that they can put in there.
They couldn't go no further back than Egyptian mythology. You know, there it is right there. That's where they got it from.
Yeah.
You know.
Still the same. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Still going on today. Same thing.
And the Greeks. Yeah, the Greeks had black gods. Huh?
Man,
Everything, they worship everything black, the Greeks.
Abraham said, what was before my birth in this world?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. What was before my birth in this world? Before I came into this world, what was before that?
You know what he said one time?
Mm-hmm.
He said,
You've been
you've been here, you've been in this
187.
world a long time, but you just haven't been in existence.
Death not so.
Yeah, you've been here a long time, but you just haven't been in existence. Imam Muhammad,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
He said you've been in this world a long time, but you just haven't been in existence. So that's some talk from the heavenly body.
That's a question. We've been to ask that question.
Education.
What was before my birth in this world? Imam said that type of thinking, when you start thinking about things like that, that turns on your spiritual life.
Okay.
You start thinking like that.
That's a 187 you said?
Yeah, that's where we get ready to go.
Okay.
Death not so horrifying anymore. He talks about the sun again here. He said, so the sun seems to be reversing itself. We're on page 187. Death not so horrifying anymore. That's the title of the paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Death not so horrifying anymore. So the sun seems to be reversing itself. It goes down seeking to know what was before my birth into this world. What was I before I was conceived in my mother? Did I have any existence before that? What was I? These are questions, all questions. So that kind of study turns on the spiritual life. The faith and spiritual interest is turned on. And when the mind separates from the material interest and starts to concentrate on the spiritual life and the spiritual interest, you begin to conceive or have some idea of what may be at the end for you.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to do that, the death that you are facing is not so horrifying anymore. You see, the God that made me from nothing is able to make me again. So we began not to fear the darkness so much, not to fear the death, the end so much. So that is light rising from the west.
Mm-hmm.
That is pertaining to my own life now. But as for the religion, when it becomes confused and the beauty of Islam is lost, the great Ummah, brotherhood or sisterhood, is dead. The health and happiness between the brothers and the sisters is gone. The soul will be saddened. The soul of the people, or good people, will be constricted and miserable. As a result, God will bless some of them, or at least one of them, to begin addressing this bad condition. He will study the religion and he won't find enough help. Studying the Quran, studying the history, studying Hadith, he won't find enough help. He will struggle and struggle until his spirit takes over for his mind. His spirit is going where his mind cannot go. God will assist him with angels, and he will begin to see the purity of Islam, how it all got started. Then he will take that purity and he will apply it to the present and where we are going with our life. And he will say, hey, there has to be a change. And it will also be a sun rising from the west.
Allahu Akbar. Huh?
Yeah.
He dropping. Now that's different than the term the dawn of a new day. Huh? It's the same, really it's saying the same thing, you know, the dawn of a new day, but this is and he will also be a sun rising from the west. That's a new. Huh? Huh? If you look at it, it's he's rising with a new day.
His spirit is going where his mind cannot go. Your spirit is going where your mind can't go. So the angels got to help you.
The angel got to attack Bill. Yes, sir, Brother Ali. Huh? You gotta call, as I said, we believe in the angels, brother.
I believe in angels.
It's too heavy for man.
The law says you gotta believe in the unseen as well as the seen.
Yeah,
So
man, ain't that
your
beautiful?
spirit
Yeah.
going where your mind can't go.
Okay.
We're on our way now, Ray. Inshallah.
Walaikum salam, brother. Thank
We're on
Bill.
our way now. Everybody in the cab over here.
All right, well, okay, brother. We feeding, bro. We feeding off of this good wisdom. Like we ate this before, brother. We've been at this table before. Yeah, man. Lord have mercy. Yes, Lord, what?
The sisters say, assalamualaikum, right?
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum assalam.
Walaikum salam.
Salam, sister. You listening at this?
She want to make a comment? Does she have anything? The champ is making a comment.
Yeah, somebody said so.
You bear witness.
He gonna talk. He trying to talk.
Somebody said something.
You bear witness. See, Mom
Talk
said.
now.
There you go. Tell them that sounds so sweet.
And that's right. And that's when the sun is rising from the west. And Bam say, your spirit is going where your mind can't go. He dropping it.
You all got a spirit. Spirit here. Spirit up
So is there, Imam Haber, would you find any connection with as the light shining from the east? So shall it shine from the west? Huh? You come around this way? Yeah. Yes, sir. So I mean, it's a comparison in there.
Yeah.
It's some light connecting in there now.
That's how I feel too.
Huh? Brother, it says, so if the light shining from the east, so shall it shine from the west. Huh? It's coming up out the west.
Brother say your spirit is gone.
Yes, sir.
Your
Mind can't go. You can't. They say you can't lead where you can't go. You can't teach what you don't know. Allahu Akbar.
And that's the sun coming from the west. Your spirit is gone, but your mind can't go.
Interesting.
Dropping the name, the spirit from God.
Okay.
Page 189, the spirit from God. Now, if he says everything, that means he gave the sun, the earth, everything, something of his spirit. Page 189.
Huh?
You skip one.
Oh,
Yeah. Love wants to be pure. That's right.
Okay, 188. Ontology and eschatology. Okay. There are some people, some intellectuals in religion, in theology, that want to know the beginning, and they keep going from the west to the east. Ontology is the study of the beginning of things. Eschatology is the study of the conclusion of things. Might want to highlight that. These are their terms, not mine. This is their interest, and they invented these terms. They have created a whole field of knowledge of this. So they go towards the east all of the time. They want to know their beginning all of the time. They're just obsessed with knowing their beginning, and they end up saying their beginning is God. In the beginning, they were God, and they came from God, out of the body of God, and their return is to the body of God. That is their end, and they see it. That is how they determine their end, that they will return to the body of God, which is their reasoning. And it is far out of line with our reasoning. But their language is like our language. We know that we did not come out of God. but because of God. But in a sense, we came out of him too, but something of him, not all of him. For instance, our virtues, our purity is from God. Our mercy is from God. Our love is from God. All of these attributes that are good for us. Our human nature wants purity. Love wants to be pure love. We prevent it. Love wants to be pure. I don't care how bad a person is. Love in that person wants to be pure love. And maybe the reason why his love is so empty and so corrupt is because he has been hurt so much, loving that his love, loving that his love become wounded love, bruised love, defected love, or rotten love. Now, maybe you have never had rotten love, but I have. However, the nature of love in us is to be pure love. So really we don't come, or we do come from God. Our virtues, our attributes of beauty and purity come from God. And also our spirit comes from God. Not all of our spirit. God says he has given everyone and everything something of his spirit. Something of his spirit. Not all of his spirit.
Look how they say that in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
What we just reading about it.
Mm-hmm.
See, we got a good definition.
Yes.
In Christianity, what would they say? Huh?
Yes.
Son of God.
Huh?
This is the Son of God, right? God's children. You know what you're saying, Shay?
Yeah, they would say we created in the image of God. See, they leave it like that. They don't have this kind of explanation.
Right.
We created in some of his attributes. You know, that's what we receive from Allah, saying that we are made in his image. See, in Christianity, that's all they say. You're made in his image. You leave you run with it. But here they say that we made some of his spirits that we inherited from God.
In his image and his likeness.
Likeness, yeah.
Likeness is nature, from his attributes.
Yeah.
This is the way it be explained.
Virtues.
But likeness, they tend to want to put a physical picture to the word likeness.
Yeah. See,
but the scripture, the Bible also say David said, "There's nothing like God." In the Bible. Yeah. But you know, they take those scriptures, they take different passages, and they paint it. They draw these pictures, you know, in your mind.
But this clears this up.
That you look like God.
That clears that up.
Yeah, that's clearing it up.
That's right.
Say, hey, buddy, no, it ain't like that. Like you got it.
That's right.
You created in the image of God. That's all they tell them.
Yeah. Now this is the purest light, right?
Yeah,
Jake?
that's the purest
This
light.
is the purest light we
Right
read here.
That's right.
And he's going to address the spirit from God. Page 189.
Yeah.
Spirit from God. Now, if he says everything, that means he gave the sun, the earth, everything, something of his spirit. We have to accept this because this is what he said. We cannot change it. If God says he gave everything something of his spirit, we have to accept that. Now, we know the spirit that he gave rocks, huge rocks or trees, oak trees or something, is not the same spirit he gave the human being, but everything has something of his spirit. What now is spirit? Question mark. What now is spirit? Spirit is an influence in you, directing you, that wants to direct you, and its nature is to direct you. That is what spirit is. Say that again. Spirit is an influence in you, directing you, that wants to direct you, and its nature is to direct you. That is what spirit is. An influence in you whose nature is to direct you. So if you get the influence of the sin in you, the nature of that influence is to direct you to do more sin. If you get the influence of the devil in you, the nature of that spirit is to direct you to be a bigger and bigger devil.
Yeah.
So the spirit is an influence in us that wants that its own nature direct us. Its nature is to direct us, and God's spirit sometime or something of God's spirit. I say its nature is to direct us, and God's spirit, something of God's spirit, is in all of us. The nature of that spirit is to direct us. But spirits, for many other things, are challenging that spirit. We want him to. We want to direct him to. Isn't that life? That is life. And when we allow too many spirits to be in ourselves, we have just given up on our own management of our life. Influences. Influences take away from your ability to manage your own life.
You know what? That made me think of people shouting in the church because they lost control. They lost control. They had a spirit, but they didn't keep
What
it.
spirit though?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
True spirit won't take away from your ability to manage your own
I
life.
I know.
Your rational thinking.
Yeah.
But see, that take away from them managing their natural self.
Man, I've seen women fall on the floor and start running around like a three stool, spinning around on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
I know I'm wrong, brother. But back in the days, I hate going to church. I mean, suit up going to church, right?
Yeah.
While I was at church one time, I started liking church. Sister Betty, or whatever her name was, she hooping and hollering, jumping around.
Knock them chairs on you.
No, she was hollering and laying on the floor and throwing legs up.
Yeah.
She was throwing legs all up and all this hurting.
Yeah.
I'm a little boy. I like going to church now. She acted all fool.
But what he's saying is she's
crazy.
out of
control.
She's lost her ability to govern her thoughts,
Yeah.
control her actions.
Yes,
She's being controlled by some other influence.
Thank y'all.
Hey man, you know, brother Ali finna get married over here, man.
Yeah, one more time. He goes right now.
They on the way right now,
I'm playing away.
Brother, I don't know.
Yeah, man. I want to take off of the word.
Hey, all right. Okay, brother.
I saw like the monkey ain't bring the cake.
That's it, brother.
Cake. I know.
He's supposed to be bringing a strawberry shortcake over here.
How far you away, brother? That's how far you away. How far you away, brother?
I'm like 20 minutes out.
20 minutes. I have to get word very quick. Okay, I'm coming back.
Okay, all right, brother. So inshallah, we can go back to this reading here, man. This is very,
Okay,
yes, sir. This is so profound, man. This is a treat. It's a special treat. Education is a sacred matter.
We got dessert here.
Yeah, we want to get this straight here now.
We got a full course with dessert.
So, brother Ansari said, what now is spirit? Question mark. Spirit is an influence in you, directing you, that wants to direct you, and its nature to direct you. That is what spirit is, an influence in you, whose nature is to direct you. So if you get the influence of the sin in you, the nature that influences it is to direct you to more sin. If you get the influences of the devil in you, the nature of that spirit is to direct you to become a bigger devil.
That's all. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Huh? That influence.
Yeah.
Huh?
That influence.
And predicated on the lie. Most religious terminology is a lie.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's not true.
No, it ain't true.
Right? So it influences us. You know, I mean, that go for some Muslims too. If we don't understand it,
Yeah.
you know, we'd be Darlene and think we on the Cyril Muslim. We'd be Darlene.
That's right.
Huh?
Yeah.
See? Allahu Akbar. I just want to go back over that shit again. So.
What now is
Like a son, Brother Hayward.
saying the something of a Lord's Spirit in us is to influence us to become more and more human.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. That's a simple answer to that. There's a lot of us overlook. But that's what he put the spirit in the dog, for the dog to be more dog, the cat to be more cat, but the human to be more human.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we went for.
All right, Bob. Yes.
I read something the other day. I might have been listening to a lecture, but it was teaching on the symbolic meaning of the cross. The vertical line rises above the horizontal line.
Yeah.
The vertical line represents the upright nature in man. The horizontal line represents the animalistic nature in man. Like you say, Shay, we're rising to become more human. That upright nature is the human nature. So this is one meaning or symbolic meaning
Of the cross.
of the cross. We also say.
Why would they put those meanings so close together like that?
Well,
They
used to
completely
draw
opposite
pictures.
each other.
They used to
made
draw
one
pictures.
symbol.
Yeah, they used to draw pictures of things, like you say.
Yeah.
They put a cross on the cow. They put crosses all over a cow. And put it in. So, like I said, I was reading. I should, but I like when I say something, I like to be able to say I got it from this book or I got it from reliable source. But it made a little bit of sense to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it show you the influence of that cross, how far it goes. A little bit deeper on.
Well, the Imam said they've taken all this symbology from mythology, Egyptian mythology. Isis and Osiris, this cross. We were just talking about. We were just talking about this cross in the sky.
So it's
the cross is also recognized.
If I was a Christian and just finding that out
on the other side,
that Egyptian key.
That key, yeah.
If I was, what would I think? If I was a Christian person, just finding out that this part of the cross means one thing and this part means something else. One part means elevating you.
Well, it does.
Yeah.
It's also, I've seen a cross that has an oval on top.
Yeah, what does that mean?
That's that Egyptian, yeah.
And it symbolizes life. The oval is a symbol of the womb of the mother. Now they call it a loop cross, but don't ever let nobody tell you it's called an ump. It's an ump, and it's a word, and it means life. The one that in Egyptian mythology, the one that you see when you refer to Christ, that means death. The one with the circle on top means life. You see,
that's why everybody wears one with a circle on it. Now.
That means life.
They found out that it means
life. It's circulating.
Yeah.
But Imam, praise be to Allah, Imam Muhammad Rahimahullah, he also said that the cross represents balance. It represents balance in the human nature. He said that. So
the average Christian person really found out what that symbolized, because you can ask a lot of Christians and they can't tell you.
All they know is Jesus' head is on the cross.
So as far as they go.
And it's the sun. See how that.
And Imam Muhammad said they don't know nothing about their own religion.
It's a white man on the cross.
Yeah.
That's what they see.
Yeah. I mean, the masses don't know.
Yeah, that's what
but these secret orders, we just talk about the one with the gold and the silver key. They know.
They know.
That's
what I was talking about, the masses.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the secret order.
Oh, yeah.
They invented it.
They dug in, man. Them boys dug in.
The ones that we need to reach are those kind of people.
Yeah. Oh, they'll never give up.
Yeah.
They finna this next holiday coming up, they finna reinforce it. Huh?
But it's really not it's not that secret. It's
No.
just that who goes
it's not
to
that
study.
secret to us.
Well, we got the key to
Yeah,
but it also say the first revealed ayah was read.
Yeah. That's right.
Study. So what we doing here, we reading and we coming up with just like this information would be probably, we got a phone here where we can Google a lot of information now, but
Yeah.
I imagine it would be hid from the masses more in the past than it is today.
Yeah.
But people don't read this stuff. They don't know how much it affects them.
Yeah.
How much control these people
Yeah,
put strain.
Yeah, because when I get out of church, I'm going to watch the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm getting ready to go out clubbing. Huh?
Choir
I'm done with church. I'm
Choir singing and
Next
drinking
Sunday.
juice.
I went. Yeah, the next time. I paid my dues. I went to church. Now I'm going to go party.
See you next Sunday.
See? That's that sensitivity.
They're gonna get out there and sing.
Yeah,
They're
sensibility.
gonna drink some blood and eat some all this other stuff, you know. And
Be ready for next Sunday.
you know, I don't mean no disrespect, man, but it's it's a holy ritual, but it sounds like vampirism to me.
That's really what it is.
Drinking some blood. Yeah, I ain't trying to
Drink
drink
blood.
blood, but
Vampire.
I know it's a holy ritual,
Seduction.
There ain't nothing holy about
what
it.
you call subliminal seduction.
Yes, sir.
There ain't nothing holy about it.
So, brother, you wanna now? I doubt if we finished today. We got 20 minutes left. We can do it. Yeah. Now, Brother Hayward, went on down through that. But now we can, if y'all want to read another, you want to read up until that time, or just make some general discussion. It's up to you, brother.
How many more pages we got?
Oh man, it's 201 pages. I think.
We got
Quite a bit. This is a lot.
that's it here.
Yeah, you know we ain't gonna finish that today.
No, we'll knock it off Tuesday night, inshallah.
2,
Yeah, David.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think about 12 more pages.
Mm-hmm. So we've covered today.
And we keep running into these elevations, ascensions that are sending our mind to greater heights, you know, and we get on that and we get to discussing these things. So, and then we find out a whole lot about doing that. So even though we might have different views on it, but we still agree it's the same idea. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, that we all see the same focus.
Shake, we have been studying hard. We done come to the conclusion that, hey man, you got to watch the red writing in that Bible.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
because if you don't
You take Jesus for all that stuff.
You say Jesus said that?
come on, man.
Jesus said, I think we busted him where it said, Jesus said, don't call no man father
Yeah.
in the red letter.
Yeah.
Huh? Come right back and contradicted itself.
That's the first thing they want to tell you. Everything in red said by Jesus.
We Googled the other day, the other day when Christianity was first given to the slave. Huh? We Googled that. The year when they first gave, what year was that, bro? They first gave that Christianity to the slaves. 1661? Was it 1661?
We was on that somewhere.
Yeah, we found, I think it was Tuesday night. No, it was the other day.
Yeah, this past
Tuesday. Yeah. So it wasn't with us all that time.
No.
You know, he systematically introduced us to that
Yeah.
Trinitarian teaching.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
that's right. Sure did.
Yeah. Google that, brother. Google that on the phone, brother. When was the first time Christianity was allowed to the slaves? Google that.
We read that too.
Google what, brother?
Yeah, Google that. When was the first time Christianity was given to slaves?
I think we read that in here.
Well, now we Googled it the other night. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 1661.
Okay.
I could be wrong on it.
When was the first time Christianity was given to slaves?
In this country?
Yeah. Well,
Because the Ethiopian.
no, that wasn't no Trinity, man. Over there, that's different.
Brother
We're
said-
talking about
brother said
Trinity.
this-
That's right.
Brother said the United States.
Yeah. After the slave, once they got here and then had slaved them, and then we've been here for some hundreds of years before they gave it to us.
Yeah.
Slavery and the making of America, the slave's parents' religion. As late as 1800, most slaves in the U.S. had not been converted to Christianity in the years that followed.
1800. Say it again.
Yeah. As late as 1800, most slaves in the U.S. had not been converted to Christianity
1800?
At
in
late
the
as
years
1800.
that followed.
That would be-
However,
that would be
widespread
tough.
It
Protestant
hadn't been
evangelism.
converted, right?
Yeah, I think I saw the day where it said it was 16 something.
evangelicalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Slavery
tough.
and the making
Huh?
of America. the
That would
slave's
be a
parents.
tough thing.
Not
We're gonna do it. We're gonna Google it.
The Bible was used-
No, because they see.
They say the Bible was used to justify slavery. Then
Yeah.
others made it their path to April the 30th, 2019. Men have been enslaved, and their descendants will ultimately be motivated and uplifted by the faith they have been used to oppress.
Now, how are you going to introduce a religion to someone that can't read or write?
Yeah.
Huh? Here's someone that don't have the ability, that's uneducated. I mean, the majority of the people couldn't read or write
That was a struggle for our people trying to learn to read. and
to
write.
get up, and they had to go by emotionalism.
Yeah.
They had to depend on sensibility.
Had to make a lot of connection with.
You see, Brother Abdullah, they had to go on their sensitive feeling, how they felt about this thing.
Sensitivity.
Not on knowledge,
Sensibility.
not on facts or reason,
Yes.
but how I feel.
Right.
Oh, you gonna let me go? You gonna free me if I accept this? We're gonna bargain with this. Yeah, and I think that St. Peter, what his name? St. Petersburg down in Florida.
Yeah.
That's where they was initiating the flip over to Christianity to the slaves. St. Petersburg, Florida. Huh?
St. Petersburg.
Yeah. The city's still named after him. Huh? Yeah.
And don't mention New
I thought
Orleans.
Brother Ansar was gonna come up with something. He didn't come up with nothing. But now they're just thinking, good thinking.
Yeah.
See, so we know when Al-Islam was introduced to us. We can go back and we know how it became popular. We can go back and trace that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew Ali and a few others back. So we know how Islam began to spread in America.
That's right.
All the way up to Farad, Elijah, and where we at today. See?
Lots of history, bro.
But we have a more profound meaning of Christian faith and spirit now than we ever had before. Huh? Yeah. We know the Christ nature. We understand what Christ's nature really is. Huh? All praise be to Allah. Imam Muhammad, he brought that to us.
Yeah.
How the Christ nature came back with Muhammad. Muhammad was the return of the Christ nature. Tied it back.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's right.
Yeah. And we have no sense to know, man, no person can go to heaven if he hates somebody.
Right.
If any person that hates another human being, he will be denied heaven.
Yeah.
Huh?
How you gonna get into heaven with hatred in your heart? You can't even exist.
Yeah.
So it just show you how they got their minds of they can't think straight.
You
like
can't
we
think
can.
straight. Al-Islam said you can't even be jealous.
No.
You can't be envious.
No.
You can't backstab.
We see refuge with a lot of that.
You gotta be in a state of innocence.
Yeah.
So that's what we seeking now. Asking Allah to return us to our innocence.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, Allahu Akbar. And I think what we got here in these books is returning us to our innocence.
Yeah.
I want to be innocent when time we go into
Right.
paradise.
That's right.
This kind of
Like
like
you
I
ain't gonna
thought.
go in.
Okay, brother.
You know, at the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, when they started bringing slaves over here, the slaves had many different faiths, belief systems, religions. That's a practice, religious practices. Now, as far as when they began to convert American slaves, North American slaves here in America we live in, you know, for a long time, you know, they weren't even allowed to read.
Yeah.
They got caught reading, they
Nice.
kill them.
Yeah.
Well, you
teaching
know,
somebody how to read, teaching slaves how to read.
yeah. Well, but before any person got off one of them boats to come over here, they broke them in the Caribbean. You were broken in from the knowledge that I.
Yeah.
You were broken down there, man. You brainwashed. Everything was taken from you before you ever got up here on these
Right.
auction blocks.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
They done broke you down. They done broke the man down. They done broke the woman down.
You ready to be sold when you got.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know if you're going or coming.
No.
Well, some of them broke.
Shock troop.
It ports right down here in the Gulf.
Yeah.
You know,
Gals.
you know, they had some up Virginia, all the way down Carolina,
Galveston was a big
all the way
trade
down
center.
Charleston. You know, I don't know if they were just like E-Man was saying that like auction blocks or whatever, but I know they had big ports in the Gulf down here in Louisiana.
Yeah.
You know, Mississippi. You know,
Yeah.
Mississippi,
Yeah,
Louisiana.
that's traveled all the way down to
Sure.
Galveston and all them places on
And
the
if
Texas line.
You know, they tried to separate languages. You know, they found out you were from the same tribe. They shouldn't try to separate them.
Yeah. They over there, man. Go with you.
Allah Akbar. Anyone want to make a comment on this here? Share some of their knowledge or wisdom on this conversation? We're still here. If we want the spirit from God, we just love. Love wants to be pure love, and the spirit of God. That's why we stopped there, brother. Yeah, we was on that thinking right there. So
I think we
Well,
pick back up. The heart is to engage spirit.
okay, we
If
got
I'm not,
okay. Yeah, we got 9 minutes or better.
want to read that?
Yeah, let's do that. And then we'll
Heart is to engage spirit. Now, also our sensitivities, the heart, are to engage spirit, and if that happens, and you are a sincere person, you put all spirits under the Spirit of God. You make all spirits recognize and respect the Spirit of God in you. Then your life becomes one. Your life becomes one, becomes whole. And Jesus said, "Go ye have been, go. You have been made whole." Why? You have given up attachment to these other spirits, and you have let the Spirit of God decide what your life should be. So because of that, there is harmony. There's one great symphony of spirits in your life, and they are playing the tune of God. And isn't that wonderful? Oh, that is heaven for the soul. The sun will one day rise from the west. The Quran says to turn your faces towards the east or west is not righteousness, but it is righteousness to believe in God. That is God, the real God, the last day, and the angels. Do you see the order they are coming in? So man fears death. Does not he? He dislikes dying. I know I do. And that is in us before we even start to be curious about the beginning of things and wanting to know the conclusion of things or have faith in God or anything. Every creature is born with this natural fear, fearing the last day. The studying of the sun and the conclusion of things that interest in us and that ability to proceed to the satisfaction of our souls is what brought us to search our beginnings, to know our endings better, and to acknowledge that God must be over all of this. Angels assist man in getting to the light. Wasn't it Prophet Abraham, and peace be upon him, who watched the sun rise, watched it set, and came to a conclusion that there is but one God. Allah, highly glorified is He, and He is our Father, our second Father, and first teacher from God, our universal teacher. So we come to believe in God and believe in the last day. Then we want to know, how has this all come to be? How have I? I was straining. I did not know how to find it. But something sparked in me in the dark, and I saw light. What was that magic? Intuition, or whatever we call it. Now we accept that there were unknown agents, unperceivable agents assisting me, bringing me, helping me get to the light that God wanted me to get to, as to say, God's angels. And the book helps on the high plane of prophecy and prophets, the great angels, Gabriel. He comes in the high and the high angels to bring assistance. They come before clear communication comes. So we believe in those angels. We know we did not decide the time of revelation. We couldn't decide the time of revelation. We did not even know how the revelation would come. Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had not even known any experience like that. He was confused and frightened and went to his wife and told her of his experience. And God caused him to know he had angels assisting him. So he comes to know the angels. And then after he comes to know the angels, then his revelation in the books. And he believed in the whole progression. Perception like shadow. Now let me share you something with you, share with you who are reading this. You also should believe in righteousness. You should want to be righteous. And you should have faith in righteousness. Righteousness is a power all by itself. And righteousness, your faith in righteousness, bring you to the knowledge of God, faith in God, and in the last day, in the angels, and in the books. Referencing the revelation, God says none can touch it but the purified ones. If you do not have this purity, you will never get revelation. It means you have to have a feel for what God is saying. You have to have a feel for what God wants you to do before you even have it in your brain or in your knowledge. You have to have a feel for it. But you will never have the feel for the direction God wants you to take in the Quran until you love purity, love righteousness, want purity and want righteousness. None will touch it but the purified one. Now this touching is the beginning of revelation. A blind man can touch and know an object, what an object is. At least he has a perception. Even though he has never seen an object before, a blind man can feel it and get a perception of how it looks. If I have never felt an object before, give me anything, any shape that I have never interacted with, and I can feel it and have a perception in my mind of how it looks. And it is like a shadow of that thing, but I can perceive how it looks. Okay, what time?
Amen.
Imam Hayward, we got 3 minutes. I mean, whatever time you all want to take. Any comments?
Maybe say this other left with you.
Mm-hmm.
Finish this up Tuesday.
I'm all right. I flew around turning 2 pages at one time. I thought he had messed up, but I was messed up.
So we finish this up when we go into tomorrow.
Sir,
When we finish this book, we're going to
We finish it up Sunday night. I'll say Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Brother Shabazz, which one we said we were going to read?
That blue book he got he said administration of the mind or something like that.
They probably be here tomorrow.
Huh? Say we wanted to interject that, you know, the one we got from Imam Hassan,
Yes, sir.
the blueprint and some about the administration of the mind or something. That blueprint.
Circumcision.
Yeah, circumcision.
Circumcision of the mind.
Say we was gonna do that when we finish this.
Okay.
Then we would go to life, final battle.
I got 5 of them ordered. So we should have 5 of them either tomorrow or Tuesday.
What's that?
This one,
I just spoke to
keep life, final battlefield.
I don't know.
We covered quite a bit.
Oh yeah. And we could have been finished, but we couldn't go no more. We had too many questions.
A lot of interesting light, knowledge.
Tributaries. Those tributaries. It's like the tree, you know, branches, little tributaries. Some things in life, in your life, you have tributaries. You know, our life. Same thing.
Okay, so we're stopping on page 192.
192.
192, inshallah. Yeah, brother, assalamu alaikum. I'd like to also, if anyone have to ask, can go to YouTube and go to Imam Benjamin Bilal, Nunetics.
Yeah.
This brother's really breaking down, like we sitting there reading,
Yeah.
and we comprehending beyond our comprehension. We're getting something that we might not even be conscious of it right now.
Right.
But we being fed. You know, the Nunetics, those words that have so many different meanings, so many connections that's in our vocabulary, that's within our system, in our mind. So all of this here, the way he explains it, huh?
In the east and the west.
Yeah.
Sun rising from the west. Sun rising from the west. The Imam said, your spirit is going somewhere your mind can't go. That's powerful.
Yeah. That's guidance. That's the type of guidance that we're looking for. And we've been guided. You know. See, and even right now where we're at in our association, we are establishing a community. We are establishing community life. Huh?
Yeah.
We are working on an ethnical society. Some of us not be conscious of what we're doing. But that's the direction that Allah got us going in.
Studying this Jacobite
Reading all of this, bringing this in. We're reading it just like right now. We just got through with the Bible. If you don't know, we just read some Bible.
Yeah.
We just got through with we read New Testament, Matthew 9:22. We read 14:36, Matthew. We read Mark 10:49-52. We read Luke 8:48. And then we read John 5, 6, and 7. See, huh?
Which one that we created in his image? Was one of them?
All I know is that it's the footnote coming in. We go back to it.
Okay.
So we digested that and don't even know we eat it.
Yeah.
It could be like a tossed salad. You don't know what's all in that salad. Olives, onions. Okay, yeah, that's the brother.
Lay on down the
We're
road.
doing nikah for brother Ali.
Lay on down the road. You belt or something. Boy, that salad.
Yeah,
so good.
It's so good, man. Where I get that from?
You be talking about physical food, yeah.
That's all
Hey, brother.
What's
up?
All right, brother.
How you doing?
Man, y'all got the cooking. Y'all brought some food?
Yeah, we probably have to cook on the fly. I got some women here gonna cook some cooking too.
Yeah, well, I don't know about how long. Be up in here.
Okay, here got family coming in now.
All right, assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. Welcome. Step on up in here. right. Well, y'all got a long drive here. We gonna get some chairs over here, brother. Let them sit. Come on, sister, sit over here at the table, and just we're gonna put Ali and the sister up here. We got some chairs over there, brother. Get that chair. Let me see your chair, brother. It's a little cushion over here.
Okay.
So you and Ali gonna be up here. Yeah, we're gonna change. Yeah, you all right, sister, right there?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put the sisters here.
Excuse me.
All right, all right. Hey, Tim. Yeah, we're gonna put that over here, just another
On the
chair right
side
here.
over
Yeah, just.
Excuse me, brothers. Sound like on.
Waalaikum salam.
All right. Sound like sister, brother.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Check this your jacket, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Huh?
can do another one here.
You can if you want to, brother. It's a social. It's a kneecap. Here, welcome. If you want to attend, welcome.
You still on YouTube?
Sisters, anyone want to sit on this side? Take over there, get your room over there. You can take a pillow over there, sit in one of the chairs. It's too hard for you.
Sorry.
Because they sitting
Huh?
oh, they gonna be sitting on.
No, yeah, just what Ali gonna be on one side, she gonna be on the other side. Okay, and then you or the rest of them
Hey,
sit
man.
back there. Shake, you wanna sit up here at the table? You take this chair and sit over here. In between, then you get over here.
On TV.
So you give me that telephone right there, right there. We're gonna stay on the line while we do this, brother, or we gonna go ahead and close?
Well, let's close out, then, we'll close out.
We
We
still
don't-
on the line.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's what I'm making, let us do, anyone on the line still? We're gonna close out of, inshallah, we're gonna close out on B.I.S.M.I WDM. Inshallah, we'll be back, Tuesday night. So we'll close out Al-Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear sisters, okay, for those of you who are here, that's the Surah Al-Fatiha, that's the opening chapter of our holy book, the Quran. You know, the Bible ended in Revelation, and then the new revelation came with the Quran. So there's a whole new world opened up. After the Bible ended, there's a whole new revelation came for humanity. Brother Ali, we want you right over here, brother, if we can. Huh?
That's a good spot.
Get that over there. I ain't have no pew. Shake over here. Shake that you right here, right? Yeah. Say, champ, don't you break nothing up, man. Don't you start that. Okay. Yeah.
You got a pen? We're gonna have me pen, brother.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna take.
Yeah, you got it.
I'll just get one up my
Huh?
desk.
What? You got it.
I'm sorry. Who was this?
That's mine, brother.
Yes. Okay, Ali, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
And my dear sister, your name? Ladonia? Ladaria. Okay. Leticia? Nafisa, that's right. Okay, thank you. So what we'll do here, Brother Ali, we'll fill this out and we'll get our witnesses on here. Some for you and some for her. This is our contract, our marriage contract, and this is a ceremonial. This is the reading of the vows. Okay, so.
Let it go. Something for her to put that paper on.
Right on it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we got a big book. Check it out.
Yeah, pen.
Unless you gonna read
Yeah,
it.
that's how you pay brother inside.
That's okay.
Yeah, you so see some reinforcement on that here. You put that up on there. So as I was saying, these are the vows, and this is half of the nikah, and the other part will be the legal, where there's a marriage license. Okay, well, you have to apply for a marriage license, and we don't cut it out. Yeah. Cut him off. Yeah, cut him off.
Okay, make sure.
Cut it off.
But Abdullah, you know how to cut it off? So the legal is when you go apply for your license, and you get a number, you get a license number, etc. And then you have your vows. Now this can be done over again when